there's a lot of interest in the statement that has been made by the office of Bernie McCabe that has exonerated Terrence Namath of any responsibility for the murder of 17-year-old Javon Dawson. While we've only had an opportunity to make a cursory examination of the letter, we felt like it was important to say something as quickly as possible. We're still in the process of getting in touch with a lawyer who's been involved in this case, because we assume that there are probably some legal issues and implications to what has occurred from McCabe's office. But one thing that we want to do is point out that it is extremely suspicious to us that McCabe would choose this day to make this announcement, that it is clearly an attempt to preempt the caravan that we were making to Tallahassee on tomorrow for the purpose of confronting Governor Charlie Crist around the issue of removing McCabe from this case, particularly because there is an incestuous relationship that exists between the State's Attorney's Office and the Police Department, where the State's Attorney in every instance requires cooperation from the Police Department for all of its convictions. And in the case of Terrence Namath, a rookie on the Police Department, we have a situation where he has been a witness for McCabe at least 95 times. So it is clearly an incestuous relationship, and we've asked that McCabe be removed from the case, and that's why we were going to Tallahassee on tomorrow to present the governor with a number of petitions from people in and out of this community who recognize this incestuous relationship. We think also that it's extremely interesting that after having been quoted in the newspapers and in the media just a couple of days ago as saying that he was going to take this case to a grand jury because there were so many witnesses and such complexities associated with the case that he did not feel he was capable himself as an individual of making a ruling. He nevertheless did exactly that today. Now, what it boils down to is Bernie McCabe has given the red light to law enforcement officers in this area to continue gunning down young African men with impunity. We think that if anyone should examine what this statement that was made by McCabe, some things become very obvious. But I want to say that on yesterday and today, many media outlets were running news stories around a so-called letter to our community that was sent out over the signatures of Mayor Rick Baker, City Council person Carl Nurse, and 3 Negro office holders. And the letter was very insidious and in many ways, as far as our community is concerned, shameful. Because we really didn't believe that we still lived in an era where Negro politicians or Negroes could simply be dragged out and be made to make statements condemning our community in the fashion that these gentlemen did. But it seems clear that the statements that purported suspicions or rumors of violence from unnamed organizations was a part of an effort, a collaboration between the signatories on the letter and the McCabe office to divert responsibility from any response from this community that has come to understand it cannot achieve justice in the courts and through the judicial system. It talks about rumors of violence when the issue at hand was not a rumor of violence, but real violence, where Javon Dawson had been gunned down, shot twice in the back. And it is clear that it was a Pontius Pilate moment where forces were washing their hands of responsibility of violence that Bernie McCabe himself seems intent on provoking. The letter from McCabe, or the statement from McCabe, is interesting because of the many things that it does not say. Or it does not say that anyone other than Namath, the gunman, the war-damaged Iraqi veteran, saw Javon Dawson with a gun. The statement says that there were hundreds of people who were there, but no one saw Javon Dawson with a gun other than the gunman who killed him. It is interesting that the statement said that an examination of Javon Dawson's hands found no gunpowder residue. But the same statement said that Namath shot him twice in the back as he was running away, and he stumbled, and the gun flew from his hands. On the one hand, on the other hand, claimed they found gun residue in his pocket. Can we explain how the gun residue got in his pocket, since even according to their account, a weapon fired was lost and never went into his pocket? It is murder. It was murder when it happened. It's murder now. And McCabe is attempting to cover up this murder. That's something that seems very clear to us. And the fact is that because they cannot come up with anyone, and they mention hundreds of people. In fact, McCabe's letter says literally hundreds of people were at this party, this after graduation party. They cannot find any one of them who saw Javon Dawson with a gun. The only persons who they say they saw Dawson with a gun claim to have seen him with a gun, not on this instance, but on some other instance. And one of the persons who said that is a person who McCabe's office has been pursuing because he has a case. He has cases, and McCabe has been pursuing him and a lot of other young people in an attempt to intimidate them to give the kind of testimony that they want. Even with that, they can produce no witness among the literally hundreds that McCabe talked about who saw Javon Dawson with a gun on the evening that he was murdered by Terrence Namath.